guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm finally going to be filming a video that has been very long awaited, that I've been wanting to film and share my experience with you guys for a couple of months now. I actually filmed a little bit talking about it 2 months ago, and I just did not like the way that it turned out, and it was also before I discovered a way to help myself with the current problem that I was dealing with. So I'm very fortunate to say that I have been able to help myself and get myself out of the bad places that I've been inside my mind. And today's video we're going to be talking about rumination. If nobody knows what that is, you can look it up. There's a definition that you can learn all about what exactly it is, but it's basically, the short answer is, it's a continuous thought that you are paying attention to over and over in your mind. And it is definitely a really nasty, bad habit, is what it says, and it's something that you don't ever want to start doing. And for me, the way that I kind of understand it is that your thoughts are supposed to flow throughout the day like a river, and you are supposed to continuously just think about things and not pay attention to your thoughts. So, I actually was never aware of any of this stuff before 2 years ago. So that is when I first had the experience of rumination. And I had, most people that experience rumination have had a trauma happen in their life. So if something really bad has ever happened to you, you could experience this. Or this, I also wanted to say, since this is the beginning of the video, it might be a little too late to say it now. I might put it in the title of the video because I should have said it first. But there's going to be a lot of triggers in this video. If you don't know what a trigger is, it's basically anything that's going to remind you of something traumatic that's happened to you in your life. So anything that I might say, a specific place, could remind you of what happened to you. So that's what a trigger is. So this video is going to have triggers, so I just want to say that really quick. And if that might not be something you guys want to watch, you might want to just click out if you're not ready to hear more about this experience. A lot of people are not going to know what I'm talking about at all, which you're very fortunate to not know what it is like to be trapped inside of your mind. Your mind can trap you, but the truth is that you have complete 100% control over your thoughts and your mind. You are not your mind. So that is the first thing that I want to just start off by saying before I jump into this. You control you. Your mind does not control you. So it is easier said than done, you guys, and especially what I'm about to start talking about. And like I said, if you've never experienced it, you're not going to know what I'm talking about anyways. But I just want to make it for people, I wanted to make this video for people that maybe have struggled with this and have experienced this. So maybe you can help yourself, because once you get stuck in rumination, it's really hard to break the cycle if you don't know what you're doing. So that's why I wanted to make this video. And it also comes with a lot of anxiety. It comes with depression. It can make you feel depressed, which it has done me the very first time that I ever experienced it. I did not know what the hell was happening to me. Okay, so basically through this video, I'm just going to be talking about my experience, and then I'm going to go over some tips with you guys to help you with the problem. And I have separate videos down on anxiety if you guys want to go watch those. I'm not going to really be touching a whole bunch about anxiety. I'm not a very good explainer either, so I do apologize if I'm all over the place. I'm terrible at explaining anything. So, but I do miss doing these sit down videos, so I hope that you guys enjoy this, and let's go ahead and get into it. So this happened to me 2 years ago, right after I had a really bad experience with anxiety, and I basically, the fear was I was never going to be able to go to sleep ever again, and the fear was so real that, like, when I laid down at night, I obviously couldn't fall asleep. And I could never, like, if I woke up from being, like, eventually I would go to sleep, I'd, like, pass out because I was so tired from not sleeping. But if I ever, like, woke up in the middle of the night, I wouldn't be able to get back to sleep because my mind would be so stressed and I'd be worrying about sleep. So it was very traumatizing for whatever reason. I don't really know why, but it was. But that isn't even half of what was to come next for me. That was extremely traumatizing for me. So eventually I just kind of went on without my day. I got over that anxiety and then I started sleeping again. Then I was back to myself. And then I started learning about anxiety because I didn't know what the heck that was. And I just kind of like got obsessive with it, pretty much. But I kind of like moved on. Except for the fact that I was really focused on what had happened to me. And I just found myself one day randomly thinking about it. And I just kept thinking about it. Like, it just kept coming. Like, the thought just kept coming. And I was like, why do I keep thinking about this? I don't want to think about that. So like, I was just trying to continue on through my day, but I found out that I just kept thinking about it and thinking about it. And I'm just like, what in the world? Why do I keep thinking about that? Like, I didn't realize at the time that this was like a trauma that had happened to me because I just was trying to move forward, but at the same time it must have impacted me in a way for me to keep thinking about it. And what you don't realize is when you are continuously in rumination and continuously thinking and thinking about one thing, it gets harder to stop thinking about it. It's almost like you cannot stop thinking about it because your brain will automatically keep doing that because it's very habitual. And like, that is something that I did not know from the beginning. And I will, like I said, I'll get into tips later on how to break it. But so anyways, I called my mom. She's normally the person that I call when I'm like struggling with anything that I can't like figure out, or someone to ask for advice. And I was telling her about what I was, you know, experiencing. I'm like, Mom, I can't get this out of my head, and it's starting to make me feel really down. Because it was just cycling over and over and over again, and like, I felt like I was like out of control or something. Like, I felt like, why do I gotta keep thinking about something I don't want to think about? And it was just, you know, it would come and go, because what would happen is that I would eventually get distracted enough to do something else, and then it would kind of taper off and I wouldn't like think about it then because I would be distracted. Or I'd be engaging in something else through the day, and then, you know, I would just kind of like pass it, like, you know, whatever that was. I didn't really know that it was rumination at that time. I didn't know what it was. I just, you know, was concerned that I was thinking so much about something I didn't want to think about, or for the fact that I just didn't want to keep thinking continuously about one thing. It was just kind of annoying. So, I forget how long that went on until it got really insane. So, I basically discovered that I had a voice in my head, which is like my thoughts, right? Like, but I've never ever noticed that before in my entire life, that I could talk inside of my head. So, or I just never paid attention to it before. I guess I should just say that. So when you pay attention that you can talk inside of your head, you can say a lot of things inside of your head, even things that you don't want to say, or just think things that you don't want to think even. So I started getting kind of like word obsessed. I don't know what that is. I also have OCD in my family a little bit. Like, none of them, like, no one in my family has it to the point where we can't like deal with it, or we like can't live our life or anything, which I'm very grateful for. I'll just say that. But I do think it runs in my family because I've seen things my other family members have talked about, having some obsession over things and stuff. So I think it's more like that's like kind of can be OCD, from my understanding. So I didn't really know what that was either, but from the trauma and everything that happened to me, it was just kind of like obsessing too. So I do think that I do have a little bit of that as well, which is contributing to that. But so it would like come and go. I didn't really know, you know, I'd feel normal 1 minute and feel fine the next, and then it just got kind of out of control. where I started listening continuously to what my mind was saying to me, and I would start saying these words over and over in my head, and it just started driving me insane. And at this point, I called the doctor actually to make an appointment with a therapist. And I had done research on my phone at this time to kind of like understand what was happening to me. And what I come up with was OCD. So I had to tell the people what I wanted to make the appointment about so they would even see me. So I just said OCD, you know. So they made an appointment for me to go talk to a therapist, and it was like a month away or something like that. So I forget, like this might have been even towards after I was experiencing it for like probably 4 weeks or something, by the way, before I even contacted to talk to a therapist. So when I would be around people or family, or I had an event to go to, I was fine. And I remember thinking to myself, I couldn't figure out why that was. I couldn't figure out why being around people and being somewhere, I could actually enjoy myself and be happy and not have that stuff going on in my head. Like, at the time, I didn't know that I had control over any of that stuff, and I didn't know what was happening to me. So I started to develop morning anxiety, because every morning when I'd wake up, I would start saying these words over and over in my mind. And I would listen to it, and it would give me really bad anxiety. So I had to start I remember this one morning in particular, and at this point I was already suffering from depression again, twice. I had depression after I had my son, and this was the second time that I experienced it all in the same year. And it gave me, because what rumination does is it actually gives you depression. If you don't break the cycle and get the hell out of it as soon as you can, it can cause you to be depressed. So it was depressing, because every day I had this voice telling me stuff in my mind, and words, just saying these annoying words over and over again. And obviously I was paying attention to what my mind was telling me instead of taking control and knowing that I could control myself. So one day I just decided enough was enough. Like, I woke up, and for whatever reason, and I had prayed a lot, you guys. The number one thing I cannot stress enough, I don't know how religious everybody is, but I believe in God. I've had several experiences, signs, things that I've saw myself, that I know that there is a God, and like, I believe in God. So I would pray and pray and pray for him to help me, give me the answer on how to fix what was wrong with me, and help me be better for my family, because I just felt like I was losing everything. I felt like my husband was going to leave me for the way that I was every day. Like, every day he would come home, I'd be so sad, I would be like crying, or I would just be like, and I couldn't explain to him what was wrong with me, because, well, I would explain it, but he didn't understand it. And that's kind of the thing when you don't go through something someone else is going through, you're not going to understand what they're talking about. So it was very, very difficult and hard to explain to anybody what the hell was wrong with me, and I just felt like my life was never going to be the same again. So eventually I woke up one morning and I just started cleaning my bedroom. I was like, I got to do something today, because if anyone's ever been depressed, depression leads you not to want to do anything. You lose interest of all activities of the day. You basically don't want to get out of your bed. You don't want to do anything. And I had to take care of my son, because he was like, at that time he was very young. I think like 7 months old or something like that. I mean, I had to take care of my son, and he was one of the things that kept me going, that helped me like get through it, was my son, because it was a motivation factor for me to get up every day out of bed. Because if my son wasn't there, I probably would have laid in my bed all day and just like laid there, because I felt helpless. So anyways, I just got up, started cleaning my room, and the anxiety went away, because I was keeping myself busy and focused, so I didn't feel anxious anymore. So I didn't hardly, and keep in mind at this time I didn't really sleep either. Like, I didn't really sleep a whole lot at night, and sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night like gasping for air, because like I would just panic in the middle of the night, and that was really scary. But like, normally I could just get right up and like you know, try to just keep my mind as steady as I could and quiet, if that makes sense. But once I figured out how to quiet my mind and that I didn't have to be saying those words, and I realized, wait a minute, I'm not saying these words today. Like, it's me, you know, like, I have control over that. I don't have to say that word, or I don't have to do that. So I just kind of like tried it one day. I got up, tried to just focus as hard as I could on what I was doing, and I didn't say any words in my head, and I got through the whole day without driving myself nuts. And I was like, what in the world? So I still to this day thank God for giving me that answer, that I didn't have to do that. He gave me the answer basically. I think I made a vlog actually last year or 2 years ago talking God gave me the answer, and it's because he did. I prayed and prayed and prayed for him to help me figure out what was wrong with me, and he did. He told me, you know, like, I don't have to be doing that. I don't have to do that. I have control over my mind. So that is a little backstory of what had happened to me. So once I figured it out, that I didn't have to think about this certain thought all the time, that, you know, whatever, or these words in that way, I didn't have to think about them and just live my life and let it go. I pretty much was happy again. I was no longer depressed. I had pulled myself together, and believe it or not, I started sleeping again. I started sleeping a full 8 to 9 hours a night. Felt incredible. And then this goes into the next year, which was 2019. And I went all the way from December till May without having any rumination. So when May come back, I had an episode, a really bad episode of anxiety, and I just felt like it triggered everything. I don't even know why. To this day, I still don't know why, because I had forgot for so long. And keep in mind, I still didn't really know that what I was doing was called rumination. I didn't know what it was still, but I had forgot for that amount of time until I experienced anxiety again, and it just felt like it triggered everything. So I started having a little bit of, so I just had some really bad anxiety in May, and then come like June, I started ruminating again over words, or like anxiety, for example, was one of the words that I obsessed over. Don't know why. Probably because it traumatized me in some way. Not having control of my mind, felt like a prisoner. That's the only way that I know how to explain it the best, is that you feel like you are trapped. And it really does suck. And it sucks the life out of you, feeling like you don't have control. But you do. You just have to remember that you do have control, and you have to practice. You have to practice really hard. And if you can train your mind to think how you want it to think and what you want to think about, that's what you have to do, because then you will be creating a new way of thinking, and the more you do that, the more your brain will think like that. And if you ruminate all the time and you keep doing that, then your brain will learn how to do that, and it'll just keep doing that. So you don't want to do that. So you basically have to train your brain how to think normally, and you have to focus, and you have to not be your brain, because you're not your mind. So you just want to do things that you want to do, things that make you happy, and stay around people, which I'm about to get into the tips here, but I was just trying to tell you guys my story, and I'm all over the place, so I do apologize. Okay, so back to my story. So come June and July, I started something new. Not only was I in the rumination thing, but I figured out how to hang on to a thought as long as I could. Oh my God, worst experience ever. So this is basically the best way to explain it. So think about a picture frame in front of you, and you want to hang on to that thought as long as you can. And let me just tell you, you can hang on to a thought for a really long time if you let yourself do that. So I started doing that, but I didn't know why the hell I started doing that. I didn't know what was happening again, because I kept thinking, why do I got to keep hanging on to this thought? Like, why do I have to hang on to it for as long as I can? And it just like wouldn't leave. So I would be trying to do stuff all day, and the thought would just like stick and stick and stick until I got distracted. Once I got distracted, I kind of like would forget about it. So then it would be, I'd feel normal again. But I also didn't know what I was doing yet. So me and my husband booked a getaway, and I also lost sleep because I was stressed all the time from doing that. So I quit sleeping again. Me and my husband booked a little getaway to Summersville, West Virginia, and when we went to Summersville, I just remember like praying really hard to God, asking him to like just take this stress away. Don't know why I'm doing this again. Don't know what's wrong with me. You know, I felt just really like just stressed basically. And we went to Summersville, and I feel like my husband saved me this time because my mind just completely let go of everything that I was doing, and I just lived, had a great time, and I just kind of forgot about it again. So I didn't have any issues with rumination by the end of July all the way up till this past November. So I went all that time normal, you know, happy, go lucky, sleeping, living my life, whatever. So in November, I forget how it even happened now, but I made a vlog talking to you guys about it, but it came back. And it was probably just a trigger. Oh yeah, that's right. I was in the kitchen, out of all places, one night. And I was standing by my sink washing dishes, and I had this thought come into my head that said, hey, do you remember that time that you held on to a thought for as long as you could? And I just started doing that in that moment in the kitchen again. And I'm like, oh no, I don't want to do this. Oh no, I don't want to do this. And like I said, once you start doing it, it's so hard to break the habit, and I'll get into how you break it directly, but it started again, and I still didn't really know that it was called rumination, didn't know what it was. So then I got into doing more research because I started losing sleep again, started being really stressed again, that this was happening to me all over again. And just keep in mind, throughout this time from July to November, I did have the occasional memory and thought come inside my head about it, but I wasn't like obsessing over it. So from November till I think it was like 4 weeks of doing this, I finally found out that it had a name. It was called rumination, and I just finally found the name of what it was. And like, this has been happening to me for such a long amount of time, and it finally was starting to like make sense, like to me, like what it was. I basically just knew that I needed to take control of the intrusive thoughts and the word obsession. I knew that I just needed to quiet my mind, and once I kind of got the hang of doing that all over again and realized that I quit doing it again, you guys, even though back a couple years ago when I figured out how to stop doing it, that was like such a long time ago that like my brain this past year did not really remember exactly what to do, because I didn't really still know what to do in November. I didn't know how to quickly get away from it. The faster you quickly distract yourself, the better off you are, and the better you're gonna get out of it. So I remember I would just go so long with doing it and doing it and doing it. It just would get harder and harder to break it. It's harder and harder to break the habit the more you keep doing it. So anyways, I finally quit doing it again, started sleeping again, and here we are. It is April now. I did have like a small episode, I think, in February, but it was only for like a day, I think, of it. And I did have an episode experience on and off this week, just because, like, obviously, like I said, it's very easy to fall into the habit of rumination when you already like know, when you like will remember on what to do. It's hard to fall into it again because of my obsessive mind can be very obsessive sometimes. So I pray a lot, but I mean, I'm good. Like, I've actually, since I figured out how to get myself away from it so quickly, it doesn't stress me during the day, so it doesn't affect my sleep at night, which is great, because I'm not letting it like rule my life, basically is what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm not letting it take over to the point where I'm so stressed and I can't sleep at night, which really sucks when that happens. But I have been sleeping really, really good, and I just try to remember what brings me joy in life and do the things that I want to do. And I just try to keep that thought process and just stay distracted as much as you can and talk to people. Talking really helps to be around people. I actually just remembered that I didn't really tell you guys about the therapy session that I scheduled back in the beginning of the video. So since God gave me the answer to my problems and I got out of it, I actually canceled the therapy session because I was good. So I didn't feel like I needed to go to therapy. So to this day, I still, like, I mean, I don't feel like I need to go talk to anybody, but in a way I would kind of like to go talk to somebody just to see like what exactly they would want to say about me. And the only thing about that is I was just curious if I might have a small percentage of PTSD because of how often the thought is in my head, basically, and how often I will remember it, basically, and like it doesn't ever really go away. Like the thought doesn't ever really go away. Like obviously I can control like what I want to think about during the day and all that kind of stuff, but I mean at some point my brain just remembers, you know, like we don't really have control of thoughts coming into our mind. We don't have control over that. That is something that just happens and we have to choose to ignore them. And if you ignore your thoughts, you're gonna be good. It's only when you pay attention to them that you're in trouble. So now I'm gonna talk to you guys about some tips on how to get out of rumination and end off this video because my battery's going dead. And I hope that this made some kind of sense to somebody out there and maybe helped you. And please leave a comment down in the comment section if you guys struggle with any kind of mental illness, or if you guys have ever struggled with a mental illness, and maybe share your experience if you feel comfortable to, and maybe it could help somebody else as well, because I want you guys to be able to come on my channel and leave a comment that can benefit other people. And I think it makes you feel good when you get to talk to other people that have experienced trauma as well. And to some people, my trauma situation might not seem like trauma to you, but I think that's really unfair to judge someone else's trauma when you have never been through it or it has never affected you. So, because I kind of felt like that, honestly. I felt like what I had experienced isn't as bad as some other people have to go through, like rape and murder or something in somebody in their family, or being in war. Like those are normally the things that cause PTSD, but I kept thinking I might have just like this small percentage of it. I don't really know because of how often that I think about it. So and like I just feel like the thought will never go away. Like I'll never forget about it because it affected me so badly. And I don't know. I do know that I have a little OCD probably as well, but like I said, it's very, very like mild. Like it's nothing that I can't deal with on my own, which I'm very grateful for because I know a lot of people cannot, and there is nothing wrong with anyone. I just want to stop and say that really quick and admire the people that, you know, do take medication to help themselves. I do believe in like whatever you need to do to help yourself. I think that that's great, whatever works for you. I have never personally had to take medication during all this processing. I just kind of did it on my own. I got myself out of depression on my own, and I know a lot of people cannot do that. So I just wanted to say, like, I don't think that I am better than anybody because I did that. I'm just acknowledging people that take medication. Like, I want you to know that I think that that's great, and I think that you need to do what you need to do to be happy and enjoy your life. So that's all I wanted to say. So the tips that I have, rumination, the first thing I wrote was obviously that it's habit forming. So I had to understand this to realize that it was a habit. And once I realized it, because I was praying to God again, asking to help me, like, understand what this is and how can I beat it, or how can I get past it faster. And it came to me one day. I realized, wait a minute, it's habit forming, so I have no control over it once it starts happening. Like, it's just something my brain is going to keep doing. Once I realized that, so it got so much better for me, you guys, because I had realized that it was an actual thing that my brain was going to keep doing. I had no control over that. The only way I had control was to get distracted like quickly. So distract yourself, keep your mind quiet, focus, live in the present moment. That is like my huge tip to you guys. Live in the present and be around people, and don't isolate yourself. That's like probably the worst thing ever when you're dealing with it, is to be alone. Do not be alone. Turn your TV on, get on your phone even. I hate to even say electronical things, but whatever distracts you honestly will help you out of the situation. Realize that whatever you're thinking about cannot hurt you. They're just thoughts. They don't mean anything. Repeat that to yourself, like, that don't mean anything to me. Pray and talk to God. Be around your family, friends. You control your mind. Your mind does not control you. I think I wrote some more stuff on the back. Choose to think about anything else. Let your thoughts flow. Don't pay attention to thoughts. You have a million one things to think about in a day. Don't just choose to think about one thing. Go outside, take a walk, listen to music, stay busy. Your thoughts are not meaningful. It serves no purpose of what's happening now in your life today. Live your life for today, not yesterday. Don't care about it and it will go away. Just choose not to care. Just choose to let it all go. Don't focus on nothing. Be in the moment. Let it go. Have fun and enjoy yourself. And I know that's really easier said than done. And then my last tip was to practice. Practice your new way of thinking and stay in the moment. Definitely want to stay in the moment. That will help a lot with anxiety too. If you can just, and I know with all the stuff going on in the world right now, it's really hard not to have anxiety. It's really hard not to be scared, not to be fearful, and you just really have to choose not to care. And that's about like ruminating. You really have to just let it go. Move forward. Keep going. Don't think so much about what your mind is about to think about next. That was another thing I was going to say that's really hard. Sometimes I will stop and think about like what I'm going to think about next, and then I'm paying way too much attention about what my brain's going to say next. You don't need to do that either, because you just don't need to do that. You just need to quiet your mind, stay focused on what you want to do, and you will be a lot better off in life. So that is my rumination video. I don't even know if it made sense. I hope it did. I hope it helped someone. Leave a comment down below. Be sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe. My son is now awake from his nap and he's anxious for me to go get him. He's in there making some growling noise right now, so he must be pretty mad at me. But I hope you guys liked this video, and I hope you found it helpful. And if you guys ever feel like you need to reach out and talk to me, you can message me if you're struggling, and I will get back to as many people as I can. Thank you guys so much for listening to my story, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye guys.